This is my makeshift brooder. It's a bit cooler because I've had the lid off while I feed them. But it's basically a critter keeper and a heating pad. This is an older style heating pad. A lot of the newer ones have an automatic shut off. You can't use those because it'll shut off and your babies will get chilled. So you either have to have an old style. I have not used under the tank heaters like you would use for reptiles. I don't know if they get too hot or not. You might have to attach a thermostat. You can also use a heat lamp from above, although that might melt a critter keeper. So you'd probably have to use a fish tank or something for that. This I cover. It helps retain heat if you cover it. It also lets the baby sleep and feel more secure. Because in the nest box or in the wild in the nesting cavity, they would be completely in the dark. Once they get a bit older, they start getting actual feathers. You can start playing with them a bit more and taking them out. But at this age, they'll get chilled if they're out too long. This style of brooder is not super precise. You don't want to use it for super young chicks. Like this one varies wildly in temperature from like, I'd say 85 to 91. You can kind of change the temperature by adjusting how much towel is on it, but it's really not all that precise. So it's not good for very young chicks. I would use an incubator or a proper brooder for very young chicks. Inside the bedding I have is just shavings, pine shavings. You never want to use cedar, you can use pine. Some people use pellets. That way if the chicks ingest them, it's not harmful. I've never had an issue with pine shavings though, so that's what I use. And I use a paper towel on the very bottom just so that all the pine and the poop does not stick to the bottom. Humidity, as you can see, it's 70% humid in there. If you change out bedding or you have a very sterile bedding, humidity might be an issue for you. But as you can see, as the birds poop, there, you get moisture building up from the poop. And that creates natural humidity. So you don't have to worry about humidity because the poops basically do that for you. So this is the very basic brooder you can do. This is what I used to use for chicks all the time, especially if I was traveling. Just take it on the go, plug it in when I got to my location. So if you have multiple batches, I would use a different critter keeper. You can also use tubs to kind of keep your chicks more confined. Oh, also note that it's not all the way on the heating pad. The chicks need to be able to get to a cooler area if they get overheated. If the whole thing is on top of the heating pad, they can't escape the heat. So you want to have at least one section that's off. Very young chicks can't move all that well anyway, but older chicks, definitely if they're getting too hot, you will see them spread out. They won't clump together like this. They'll spread out and they will start panting. If they're super cold, they'll cluster together more. They'll be shivering. So you got to keep an eye on your chicks and adjust accordingly. This one is on low, but everyone is going to be different. You kind of want to run it before you stick anything in it so you get an idea of what the operating temperatures are at. And always, always have a temperature gauge in there. And it has to be where the chicks are. So if I had my temperature thing on this end, it's going to be a completely different temperature than what's over here. It has to be by the chicks. If it's up high above the chicks or some other weird location, it's not going to give you an accurate reading. It has to be by the chicks. And eventually this will start getting trampled by the chicks. But as they get older, the temperature doesn't have to be quite as precise, so I won't have to worry about it as much.